Good morning. Happy 1st of December and welcome to this edition of Up to the Minute. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Sade Campbell, the Strategic Enrollment and Communications Manager here at Houston Community College. Pleased to be joined by my co-host today, Parrish Murphy, who is going to tell everyone how to find us.
How are you, Ms. Campbell?
Good morning. It is December.
It's December. Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays. It's a countdown to winter break. I was joking with my boss yesterday. I said, it's starting to get into the season of me telling people that sounds like next year. Okay. Sounds like next year. It doesn't sound like right now.
Okay. Well, right now you can catch us live on Houston Community College District Facebook page. You can also catch us on YouTube. We're on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and we're also on HCCTV 3 times a day at noon, 5, and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Parrish. Well, as mentioned before, December is upon us, which means we will soon remember that day that lives in infamy. We'll have someone here to talk about December 7th. And for those that may not know that reference, Pearl Harbor Day, we are going to have Parrish speak directly with Jaclyn Mertz, who is with the National Museum of Pacific War. Good morning, Jaclyn.
Good morning.
All right, you and Parrish are going to chat in a second, but first, for Thursday's Family Fun Day, we're still honoring our Indigenous heritage, even though National Native American Month ended yesterday. And we're going to do so both by talking about the reopening of a permanent exhibit hall at one of our favorite museums. Here to discuss that is Dr. Dirk Van Tuerenhout, who's the curator of anthropology at the Houston Museum of National Science. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Well, we are looking forward to learning all about the J.P. McGovern Hall of the Americas, which is going to be a permanent exhibit at the museum. Let's take it from the lens of somebody who has never seen the exhibit before. What can you tell us about it?
Well, as you mentioned, this is a permanent exhibit. This is part of your general entrance ticket. It is on the 3rd floor of the Museum of Natural Science, and it celebrates Indigenous cultures, both past and present. And this is an upgrade from an exhibit that opened in 1998, which is not last year, but last millennium. And so we really were in need of putting new computers and new displays, but also a new focus. And that is what I meant by past and present. Because in the previous iteration, as we say, the focus was primarily on the past. And we wanted to let people know that Indigenous people are still with us. And so this is past and present. And so we have a lot more emphasis on living Indigenous people from all over the Americas who are greeting you with a huge video wall saying, hello, welcome, my name is so-and-so, I belong to this nation, and I am still here. That is the overarching.
Well, I would say since 1998, it was definitely time, but I love hearing about, there's so much around most cultures that you think you go to the museum to learn about the past, that you wouldn't walk away with something for the future, from not the future, the present, excuse me. And I would assume that allowed you all to talk to different people to inform the exhibit.
Absolutely, and we have done so, and we are continuing to do so. So this is yet another aspect. It is a living exhibit in different ways. It is an exhibit about people who are still very much with us, but also an exhibit that will continue to be upgraded. So, for example, at the very beginning of the exhibit, as you walk in, there is not only a video screen that has people talking to you saying welcome, but we also have a scrolling biography series where people who are very much alive and leaders in their community today, in our community today, in being introduced. And that can range from people who were politicians, ballerinas, but right now there is an Indigenous lady, astronaut, in the space station. So we celebrate her as well. And so that is really the future, as you mentioned. That is the present and the future. And so it is stepping beyond the traditional opinion and image people have about Indigenous people. We all have images in our mind, perhaps, but people are astronauts, they are surgeons, they are lawyers, they are ballerinas. They are just like anybody else reaching for the stars.
I love that you say that. I say this so often working in higher ed, there's still time to make history. Like the people that you are studying, we are still in, we're still in a world where we are hearing a lot of firsts. First Indigenous person to do this, first Black person, first Latino, first person of color, however it's being categorized. So there is still time to make history. So I love how you frame that we are absolutely looking at the future. And in addition, you frame that we really do have this frame of reference around Indigenous culture, most of which is very connected to here in North America. But it's my understanding you all have items from different areas of Indigenous culture.
That is correct. So we cover more than North America. We also go into Central and South America. We have a very large collection of what we call ethnographic materials. Think traditional featherworks from people who live in the Amazon, so the rainforest, basically Brazil and surrounding countries. And they too are under pressure because of climate change. Things are happening everywhere. They are still with us, but like all of us are under the gun when it comes to climate is changing and they have to adjust and adapt, and it's not an easy thing. And so that is a very large portion of our display. It is one that is also probably among the most fragile in terms of exposure to light and colors and feathers. We need to, that whole section will be renovated on a regular basis to prevent loss of color in the feather work that we have currently on display.
Awesome.
That's just behind the scenes little nugget there.
Yeah, I mean, when you preservation of history, that the science behind it is something that many don't know, and there's a lot of efforts and movement around preserving family history that people are starting to learn what ways they can preserve their family history as well.
Right, and I wanted to link to a later speaker today. We also have two dioramas linking to code talkers in World War II and World War I. And it's one of those displays where people might say, I'm familiar with that. I've seen the movie and I've seen wind talkers. And at that point, now that we have your attention, we draw you closer and let you know, the visitor know, that in addition to the Dene people or the Navajo code talkers, there were 28 additional indigenous nations during World War II who were using their languages to speak as code talkers. And then as you think, okay, I got it, then you turn the corner and wait, there is more. Because in World War I, there were code talkers as well. Different nations from Oklahoma, Choctaw people, for example. So as we take you through the hall, we hope that each time you turn a corner, there is another item, topic, information that you did not know perhaps, but as you walk out, you do now.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to giggle at the reference from I saw the movie. Like we're in a generation that doesn't say I read the book. We're in a generation that said I saw the movie. Are there any stories in particular that you that would stick out for you to share for people to make sure they check out when they go to the exhibit?
Well, we are very happy to and honored as well to have been able to work with an advisory group of Indigenous people. They are part of the individuals who greet you as you come in. They're from all over. There was one individual who is Maya from the highlands of Guatemala, and then we have people from Alaska and parts in between. They are sharing their knowledge, their wisdom. They are knowledge keepers, as we call them, and they kept us on the right path because otherwise you might make mistakes. And so you ask the people whose culture you're representing in the hall, is this right? Is this respectful enough? And so this is a sort of behind the scenes, but a very important component of the hall. And it makes it, again, a living exhibit. We're working with artists and we commission work from. So there are additional, not necessarily advisors, but people who work with us, collaborators, to make sure we all get the picture. This is a beautiful piece of ceramic. This is a beautiful feather poncho from Oaxaca, the southern part of Mexico. All of it made today by living artists who collaborate with us, and their work is on display at the museum. So it's sort of behind the scenes, but it really makes me happy, and hopefully everybody else as well, that we were able to achieve this and will continue to do so.
And what do you all hope that visitors walk away with about their awareness around current topics that affect or even threaten the well-being and very existence of a lot of tribes today?
Well, I'll tell you, for example, at the very entrance, there is a display on the topic of boarding school. And it is something that is gaining traction in the media these days. And for those who don't know, this is a part of history where at one point in the late 1800s, all the way through most of the 1900s, Indigenous children were taken away from their parents and brought to schools to be civilized because they were not considered civilized. So it's a very sad story. It has implications across generations. You might say that today, well, that is over, isn't it? Yes, to some degree, but the implications are still very much alive in terms of mental health for people today who are the descendants of those who were taken to these schools. So as we introduce that topic, one of many, it's not necessarily it isn't a happy topic, but as people are reading, watching videos, and I'm visiting with them, I've had people who cried, who were not aware of this, and the message got through. In other words, it is one of my favorite expressions of visitors as they walk away from the exhibit and say to each other, I had no idea that. And that is, at that point, to me, a message, I learned something new.
Awesome. I would have to say that it's definitely what you would want someone to walk away with, is to learn something new and to unlearn some things.
Right.
And we thank you so much for coming on to the show to share what people see in the game by making it a priority to make sure they go to this permanent exhibit at the Houston Museum of Natural Science. Thank you so much, Dr. Dirk Van Tuerenhout, who is a curator of anthropology at the Houston Museum of Natural Science. We'll have information posted after the show so you can go check out that exhibit. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you very much. A pleasure to be with you.
All right, Parrish. I'm going to kick it over to you
like
for our next museum guest.
Stuff. I think that should be American history. I don't think we should have an Indigenous. I think it's like Black history. I don't think it should be a month. I think it should be all year. You know, their contribution has been really, really overlooked. And I'd like to learn about it. I think it's necessary. When we say American, we think one thing. I hope that we continue to broaden that. That's really great.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Great interview. I have the pleasure of speaking with Jaclyn Mertz. She is the museum program coordinator for Fredericksburg's National Museum of the Pacific War. Jaclyn, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on here. It's my first time, so I'm super excited.
Good to have you. Thank you so much. Now, we understand that the Pacific War, talking about war in general, is a difficult topic, but every year, you know, we deal with this and we talk about this because, you know, it's worth talking about. Now, as we said, your museum is in Fredericksburg, and since it's all about the Pacific War, you are doing your usual Pearl Harbor program and things of that nature. However, this year, you're back alive and in person. Can you briefly give us how you guys feel about that and an overview of what you guys are doing?
Sure. Yeah, we're super excited to be back in person. We're going to have a short wreath laying ceremony held at our Pearl Harbor wall. So we have memorials dedicated to those people that either did not survive Pearl Harbor or were there at Pearl Harbor. And then we're going to go straight into our education bit. So at 12 o'clock in our historic Nimitz Ballroom, we're actually going to have a multimedia kind of talk about Pearl Harbor. So we're going to talk about what happened moving up into Pearl Harbor, what was happening in Japan, because there was things going on that the United States really wasn't a part of before Pearl Harbor actually happened. So we're going to talk about this, basically the seeds of conflict, and then go into the actual attack on Pearl, taking videos, photos, oral histories of some of these people that were there at the attack, and then ending it with what happened afterwards, what happened after the attack and the aftermath, including the internment of Japanese Americans, German Americans, and what the United States decided to do after that.
Okay, now I understand you guys have added a new ceremony this year. Tell me about that.
So it's a little bit, it's not like a new ceremony. We're just changing things because not a lot of museums actually remember or do a ceremony based around Pearl Harbor. And so we're one of the few that actually kind of have a Remembrance Day. And so we really wanted to let the people and the audience know, why should we keep remembering December 7th? And for Pearl Harbor Day, it's really important to let them know why. Why should we be celebrating, or not really celebrating, but remembering what happened on that day? And so instead of just having a ceremony that has a guest speaker, we're actually going to be informing the public and doing an interpretive presentation about that actual day.
Okay. Now, I was wondering, as I was just kind of researching the interview last night, I know that Pearl Harbor was basically our introduction to World War II. Mm-hmm. What is the Pacific War's relationship to World War II?
So it's the starting point. So it basically started us. Japan attacked, and we're like, we can't let this go. So the Pacific War, was in Hawaii. It's in the Pacific Ocean. And so we have a large exhibit where we have a Japanese midget submarine that was actually at Pearl Harbor. And we have a lot of artifacts that kind of pertain to that day. And so that kind of just jump-started the actual war in the Pacific, because Japan did attack. So we had to basically attack them back.
Okay. Now you have a multimedia program now. Tell me a little bit about that.
So that's where we're going to be taking some videos from the National Archives, some photos that we have from our collection, as well as our oral histories that we have kind of collected over the years, and kind of and putting them into a video so that people kind of get more of a sense of what actually was happening, and kind of have that feel of, understanding what those men kind of went through. So I've been listening to so many oral histories this past week about what they actually experienced, and kind of inputting that into some videos.
Okay, now next year you got a lot of things coming up. One of those things is the children's exhibit. Tell me a little bit about the children's exhibit.
Yeah, we're super excited for that. It's, the biggest thing that's probably going to be happening at the museum next year. And it's called Growing Up with War, Children on the Home Front. So it's basically 3 vignettes. So it's a farm, a city, and an internment camp. And each vignette is going to have a virtual child that introduces each of those vignettes and kind of talks a little bit about what they're experiencing. And then we have lots of interactives that the children and even adults can actually do. So for the farm, for example, there's going to be a tractor where there's going to be some tools, and you're going to have to kind of repair the tractor on your own. There's also rationing. How did you actually ration your food? I mean, we kind of did that through COVID, but this is all about rationing with our rationing books, learning about the different types of meats that they would have eaten. And then for the internment camps, it's all about learning what a child went through when they did get sent to those internment camps.
Okay, now I hear you guys are into reenactments. What do you have in store for the folks in the department?
Yeah, so in 2023, we're going to be debuting a new living history reenactment. It's going to be called Pacific Valor, and it's a new program that will focus on the real life stories of heroism from the actual Pacific War. And I won't give too much away because we kind of want to keep it a little bit of a secret. But the first show is going to be on March 11th, and it's going to highlight the actions of a young Marine who served on Iwo Jima.
Awesome. Her name is Jaclyn Mertz. She is the Museum Programs Coordinator for Fredericksburg's National Museum of the Pacific War. We'll have more information on her in our post after the show. Thank you so much for being on the show. Come back, please.
Thank you so much, Parrish. I will hopefully come back.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Campbell.
Yes, Mr. Murphy, how are you?
We had some good interviews today.
Huh?
We had some good interviews today.
We did. And I actually have it on my list. Even before this, I was telling myself, I need to get to the museum over our winter break. I haven't necessarily made it a priority this year, but I think it's something whenever I do get a break, and Thursdays are free. So
yeah, they are. But it's wonderful. We've had so many different things. We've got some wonderful, wonderful museums here in town, and they're constantly doing things to bring new exhibits in and things of that nature. So, I need to go as well.
Yeah, and it's something, so much history is just being lost. And, many of this generation, each generation has like this thing that sticks in their minds of something that will live in infamy to them. There's certainly the generation that remembers Pearl Harbor on December 7th, but that is not necessarily my generation or the generation after that. So we all have these defining moments, but we have to make sure that those things are connected, because we stand to repeat a lot of this stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
We already are. It's not even that we stand to do it. So let's get into some announcements as we wrap out today. The first one is titled "The Eagle is Soaring Again," says our HCC Chancellor. Some may like to say that the eagle has landed, but our HCC Chancellor, Dr. Cesar Maldonado, made a big screen debut at the Greater Houston Partnership State of Education Luncheon, proclaiming the eagle is soaring again over HCC. HCC was a diamond sponsor, the highest tier in the event, to advance high quality education and opportunity for all. Attendees heard how a strong education system contributes to the long-term success of our young people, increases equity, and is tied to Houston's ability to remain competitive with a talented workforce. So invite you to check out any recaps of that event that I'm sure is posted on our YouTube channel.
Absolutely. And also, we have a bunch of recession-proof stuff. We've got some things that we're doing and some future things that we're doing. I just went to the automotive shop about a week ago, right before the break, and it is absolutely outstanding. So he's right about that. The eagle's soaring. HCC's December DEI podcast is this morning with one of our favorite people, Dr. Donna Davis, Diversity and Equity Inclusion Officer, answering questions from the HCC community. So please submit them in advance to Kisha Timmons. That happens at 11:30 a.m. today, Thursday, December the 1st. Topics will be ending stereotypes and prejudice with you, the HCC community. We'll have the email to submit questions in our posts after the show.
All right, and we have a toy drive coming up, the Sickle Cell Toy Drive, a part of the As One Foundation. Kiana Blake of the Chancellor's Office has scheduled a unique toy drive this weekend. She's affiliated with the As One Foundation of Devard Darling, former NFL football player who lost his twin brother at Florida State in 2001. Apparently, he died of a sickle cell trait exertion during spring football practice. And now the As One Foundation is hosting the first ever holiday toy drive for 300 sickle cell pediatric patients and their siblings at Texas Children's West Campus in Katy. Please take store-bought toys in packages to HCC A-Leaf Hayes campus from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on this Saturday, December 3rd. In lieu of toy, cash donations will also be accepted. Check the post after this show for more details.
Come check out our Northeast Student Exhibition. The in-person exhibit features the works of Northline art students. Juried awards have been given in drawing, painting, design, and digital media. It happens through December the 5th, and it is FREE free at HCC's Northeast Northline Gallery. Registration is not required for this event. Everyone is welcome.
Yes. All right. Monday night Big Band. Students of the Big Band Ensemble will perform various standards of the genre Monday, December 5th at 7:30 p.m. And in the words of Parrish, it is FREE free as well. It'll be at the HCC's Spring Range campus Performing Arts Center. And registration is not necessary, but we'll have a link posted after the show with more details.
Spring 2023 registration is open as we speak with a winter mini session. HCC offers multiple spring sessions as well as a winter mini session. The spring course schedule has in-person and online courses with start dates from December 2022 to April 2023. Now, we still have all of the same online. We have online anytime. We have online on a schedule, hybrid in-person, as well as hybrid lab as far as how you can take your courses. And if you want to learn more about HCC programs, start dates, and options to cover costs, go to hccs.edu/apply. Once again, that is hccs.edu/apply. And tomorrow's Friday. It will be Film Friday, and we will have the songwriter and performer of a new HBO Max film, Holiday Harmony. It's the time of year where we're going to be bombarded with all those movies like that. But this one has an all-star cast, including the famous Brooke Shields.
Awesome. I am a sucker for the same plot with different characters in those holiday films. So expect a great show that'll also include, we'll have someone here to talk about Finals De-Stress event offered by HCC Central Student Library Advisory Council and the Cosmetology Department. They're giving free manicures. Need we say more? So be sure to tune in tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Up to the Minute. We'll see you next time.